each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Hello, fellow trudgers, trudgers, and trudgees. I don't have any more of those. Welcome to Daily Trudge. It's Sunday, 2:20 in the afternoon, March 30th. Not that it matters. We do this a day at a time. You may be listening to this on a totally different day. This is not a reading. I was watching the show called Ted Lasso. Great show. I highly recommend the show. But I was watching a little short from one of his episodes, and it was "Be curious, not judgmental." It's a saying by Walt Whitman, and I'm like, wow, what a great topic. Thank you, Ted Lasso. Isn't it neat that God can speak through things? Yeah, because I was trying to decide whether I was going to go live again or not. And again, this one won't be too awfully long. When there's not a reading, I have a little bit, but, readings help me get my mind together. So, I'm going to give it a couple more seconds, see if we have anybody show up. It's looked like we had somebody from Facebook for a second, but they left. All right. That's okay. Do I not entertain you? Am I not pretty enough for you? A lot of people told me I have a radio voice. I'm like, are you sure you're not saying I have a radio face? I don't. I'm a decent looking enough guy. I had a really cute wife, so I must not be that bad looking. Because it certainly ain't for my money or my award-winning personality. All right, let's get to this. I don't think we're going to get anybody. It's 2:22 now. All right, welcome to Daily Trudge. My name's Dion. I am the host of the Daily Trudge. And if you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. Let's get to this. Be curious, not judgmental means to. Oh, you just popped up out of nowhere. Good afternoon, Amber. Good afternoon, Heather. I have to admit, so I was telling people where I got the title from, and I was watching a little short Ted Lasso clip, and he said it, and I'm like, yeah, that's God telling me I probably need to. She's beautiful, BEA, beautiful. All right, let's get started. As I hiccup, sorry about that. Where's another one? I don't have the case of the hiccups, but there we go. Okay. Be curious, not judgmental means to approach situations and people with an open mind, seeking to understand their perspective and motivations rather than immediately forming negative judgments. This is something that we very much learn in the program, right? I was just talking to a new guy about this, about that we react to life, not react, or that we act with life. We don't react to it. Right? Yeah. Brought on a new sponsee that puts me at 4, which is past my limit, but I also don't argue with God. So it's always fun though. We were talking at one point, it was just getting excited, and I understand, but I had to tell him, hey man, you gotta stop cutting me off. You asked for my help. Now you got to shut up. Listen a little bit. So when I do that, I ask questions so that there's interaction, right? But and we talked about the usual stuff. We're going to start meeting on Sundays. He's all, yeah, I'm ordering the big book in that Russell Brand book. I'm like, yeah, you're going to order the big book. If you want to get the Russell Brand one, you can, but I'm not going to let you read it while I'm working with you. Not, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Okay. It is a self-help book. And he doesn't know how to help himself yet. So I told him that book will be a lot better for you once you get through the steps and you know how to help yourself. Then that book will probably do some good. That's why. So, all right. So looking for, and I'm going to use kind of what Amber said, God knows Amber's on strike. You're on strike. Okay. Are we feeling a little defiance against God at the moment? Hey, it's better to do with God than or your higher power than it is your significant other or your children. And we all go through it. So we all kind of tend to have a little bit of defiance. Right. So instead of because Dion tends to his brain tends to kind of judge kind of quickly sometimes, not all the time. Most of the time I'm pretty open-minded. I'm just trying to listen. What can I do is there something in my experience that I can do to help this person? Sometimes just listening is a great way to go. Holding space for people. But instead of making an assumption, which makes an ass out of you, it does not. That's why I don't like, because they say assuming makes an ass out of you and me. Well, I didn't assume. You did. You're the ass, not me. Don't include me in that. So we can't assume. We can't assume that we know. So ask questions, man. How you doing? Doing okay? You look kind of down, man. What's going on? Maybe somebody's real short with you. Hey, you don't usually act that way. You all right? See, when I build my own self-esteem, when I no longer use people. Oh, Amber says, I'm not on strike with God. I'm on strike with taking new sponsees. Yeah. Well, you probably have 20 of them at the moment, knowing you. I'm over exaggerating. She doesn't have that many. Right? Be curious as to what's going on in their life. We don't usually get to talk about what's going on with us, do we? Unless you're sitting down with a therapist or your sponsor. This is a good place to remind that we don't solve our problems in the meetings. We don't dump. No dumping in meetings. No, we're there to share our experience, strength, and help with each other so that we may solve our common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. Is Alcoholics Anonymous. And just being there. You're taking one through the steps. Sometimes one is enough. Yeah. I've done 4. I have 4 done with the steps. Good for you. Good for you. That's when you fire them and go get more. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh yeah, you got camping season. Good for you. All right. So embrace in curiosity instead of jumping to conclusions or making assumptions. Focus on asking questions, listening actively, and seeking to understand the why behind someone's actions or beliefs. Now, I didn't read forward. It's just patterns don't lie, and these are all patterns, and they fit together. And I talk about it enough that all this stuff just fits together. Most of what I talk about is just a different way to see things. But I'm saying almost the same thing every time I come live. At least that's kind of how it feels. Maybe it's different for you guys, right? Be curious about what's going on with them. You know, when I talk with a new person, I have a series of questions that I ask. First question is, what happened? What happened that made you decide that AA was where you needed to be? It's my first question. And that is going to give me some answers that I need. Well, I got DUI. I there's different reasons. I often talk quite a lot about different reasons to get sober, why they do. It's always an outside force. It's always an outside force. Now they may have went into detox and treatment willingly of their own accord, and they admit themselves, and that's what we would call an IC. Right. So, but there was still an outside force, and I know that, and it's usually somebody that we love. So my next question: you married? Got a girlfriend, boyfriend? Doesn't it? I mostly work with men, and I work with women sometimes. Right. I work with a lot of people. I work with just more than my sponsees. Quite often, the meetings will start, and we call it Dion's women's meeting because it's me and 5 women. And then the boys start showing up. I'm like, okay, not so much anymore. What are some of the other questions I ask? Are you married? Who are you close? Are you close to your mom? See, men are usually mommy's boys. Alcoholic men are usually mommy boys. Alcoholic females are usually daddy's girls. Yeah, usually. Patterns don't lie, right? What am I doing? I'm finding the reasons why they got sober, and I'm going to reinforce those. Next, we talk about accountability. That would be next on my list. Hey, what I want you to do is text me each night that you're still sober. Another question, some of the other questions I ask, and this is usually how I phrase it. Okay, this next question might be a little personal, and there's no right or wrong answer to this. I just need to know where you're at so I know how to help you better. Where are your feelings on God? And then at this point is where you shut up and listen, because they're going to give you answers so that you can direct them in the right place. I was just doing this, and his answer was, well, I don't believe in the religions of the world. They've killed more people than they've helped and things like that. And he gave me an honest answer, but he didn't answer the question. How do you feel about God? But he did kind of answer the question, right? He just didn't know which way to go. So I stole Amber's explanation of a shirt, and it worked. He got it. Now he understands that he doesn't need to follow any other God out there, that he can pick his own. And I could hear the relief in his voice. Now I let him know, hey, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, man. I'm not. Just even when the Russell Brand thing came out, I said, even if you decide you want to get that book, that's up to you, man. But I'm letting you know, and I'll still work with you. I'm just not going to. No, but I said, but if you start throwing Russell Brand shit at me, I'm going to put a foot up your ass. He's all right. He's all right. All right. And I love going through that first part and getting to know people and asking questions. What kind of work do you do? What are your days off? Because we got to pick a day when we can meet so we can stay consistent and these types of things. Right. So looking forward to working with him. Challenge assumptions. Never assume, always presume. And say it that way. Or you could even say, I don't want to assume, so I'm going to ask this question. Or if you think you have the answer, I presume it's this. No? Okay, then it might be this. Yes, it is. Okay, let's make sure I'm on the right track. All right. Be aware of your own bias and preconceived notions. and be willing to reconsider them in the light of new information. One of the things I've been saying lately is I don't want to be that old man that's closed-minded. I don't. I don't want to be that old man who's stuck in his way. It's my way or the highway type of thing. That just doesn't seem to work for people. Now, there is my highway, but that's mine. And if you want to jump on my highway, great. We'll have a fun time, whatever. All right, but understand that my recovery isn't going to keep you sober. You got to go find your own. All right. But once we're on that broad highway together, well, heck, man, then we get to do great things. All right. So I have to put aside my own bias. Yeah. The hard one for me is when people have ink all over their face and a bunch of it's just hard for me to focus because my brain I'm looking you at the face. It takes me a little while to get through that, but I will get over that. Good afternoon, Leisure. Good afternoon, Michelle. Good to see you both. All right. So, and my preconceived notions. Preconceived means, well, that's just judgmental. All right. I have to put aside my own everything. Yeah. What I think I know about this person. Since the internet came along, people don't really say this, but you can't judge a book by its cover. Unless it's worn out. And then that's just been used a lot, right? All right. That means don't make any judgment calls. Now, we alcoholics are quick-witted, man. Our minds work very, very quickly. All right. So I'm not saying, I would say 90% of the time I have a pretty open mind. I'm not saying that I don't make rash judgments. It's known to happen. Not like they used to, man. And the severity of them doesn't seem to be too big either. The bad consequences. Because I'm also willing to take care of that. All right. I'm not big when people start to tell me that I don't know, especially in this field. Can't trust a pop-up, but it's cover. Leisure says, I failed at Costco on a Sunday today, but at least I get to practice a program. I know my mistakes and I get to work on them. You're going to make mistakes. Let's correct them. Yeah. If you can get past the blaming yourself and beating up on yourself and just getting to the point where I did wrong, you might feel a little bad about, but move that to the side and do what you need to do. All right. We can't, it happens with me a lot because, like I share my feelings a lot. I'm pretty transparent. I run around saying, I love this. I love that. I love myself. I love me. Right. A lot of men, I know what they're saying. They say, oh man, that guy's a pussy, but they don't say it to my face. Now, do they? They don't say it to my face, do they? Because I also have courage and I exude it. I exude my courage. I don't care if you think I'm a wimp or you can call me all those names. Oh, that's not what a man does. Well, clearly, because you're so happy in your life. Right? Angry young man. Right? People don't give me a hard time for sharing my stuff. Of course, I'm in the right arenas. Right? So, all right. Promote understanding. By being curious, you create space for empathy and understanding, fostering better relationships and more productive interactions. Amber says, I wouldn't be able to do Sam's Club if there wasn't Scan and Go. And I don't shop at Costco or Sam's Club. So I don't need bulk anything. There's two of us. I don't need anything in bulk. Maybe ramen, mac and cheese. Depends on how broke I am. Yay, it's a mac and cheese week. So it goes ramen, mac and cheese, hamburger helper. That's how you know you're moving up in the world. Or you could just take a pound of hamburger and put it with your mac and cheese. It's hamburger helper. And it says, showing a little bit of space. You know what's good to add to it? Paste pecani sauce. Good stuff. All right. So, see, you can create, when you're curious, you create space for people. All right. And you're using empathy. Now, Amber says coffee, honey buns, beef. Yeah. See, you're still young. You can get away with buying honey buns in bulk. I can't do that anymore. Nope. I don't feel like having diabetes on top of everything else. I'm proud of myself, actually. I was drinking like 2 of these a day. Okay. This is how much I've had today. This is it. I've cut way, way back. And I haven't been, anyway, so kind of proud of myself on that. So I thought I'd brag a little bit. And that empathy, not sympathy, but empathy. Empathy means that I understand, that I know where you're coming from, and that I'm willing to work through it to find a solution. And you have a 6-year-old, yeah. Don't forget your husband. He's a grown boy too. All right. Sympathy means I'm going to cry with you, but we're not really going to get anywhere. That's more of a mutual admiration society. Empathy is geared towards wellness. Sympathy creates stagnation. I do eat honey buns every few days or so, though. Yeah. Don't think I don't have my chocolate. I do. I haven't had my nutty bars in a few days. But I found that when I don't have stuff, I've always had so little that I just find something else. Yeah. I'll go eat peanut butter out of the jar. I'm out of peanut butter right now, too. Waiting for the EBT to hit again. All right. Avoid judgment. Refrain from making quick, negative judgments about others or situation, as this can lead to misunderstanding and closed-off communication. Right now in the United States, this is something going on a lot. I posted something about the funding for recovery services being cut off in Colorado, and Channel 7, Channel 9, all these channels are making it look like a bad thing, but it's not as bad. It's a very quick, judgmental thing. I agree. It should be cut off. It should be. The first thing that it's going to do is it's going to get rid of all the abusers. It'll be the first thing that it does. Not only that, but I have a way out that doesn't cost you a dime. Won't cost you anything. Some of your time. You're going to have to sacrifice your time more than anything else. AA doesn't require money. In fact, we're broke. AA is broke, and it should be. Right? There's a lot of judgmental things happening out there. There was one RCO literally whining about it. Well, when you whine about it, you're telling me is you are not a very proactive person. That tells me you're not a person that looks for the solution. That you are not showing by example God's omnipotence. So it tells me. Leisure says every single story has two sides. Yes, it does. right? You see those videos where this Karen gets upset in traffic and you only saw half the story. What did you do to that person that pissed him off so bad? What did you do? That's what goes through my mind. All right. No, what happened is you fucked around and found out. They're not a Karen. They're not toxic. You're an asshole. I know that's name calling. I don't post that or anything. That's just what goes through my mind. All right. I'm not going to argue with stupid. All right. There I am, not refraining from making quick negative judgments, right? Busted. Busted. It's all right. I could laugh at myself, so it doesn't bother me. Yeah. And I didn't hurt anybody that I know of. And if I did, then I apologize. If I hurt your feelings. I do not go for you offended me. No. I'm going to offend you a lot. Even if you love the hell out of me, there will be something I say someday that you are not going to agree with. And that's okay. The point is that we can have opposite views and still be friends. That's big to me. That is big to me. I am posting it right now, huh, Amber? Now, the other two things are from Walt Whitman and then the place that I stole it from, which is weird. I didn't know it was going to. I was watching a short clip on a Ted Lasso and I got it from this. Toxic Karens is the name of my new band. Cool. Can I be the drummer? So the Walt Whitman quote, the phrase be curious, not judgmental is often misattributed to Walt Whitman, though he actually never said it. Oh, then who said it? It says that Walt Whitman didn't say it. So, Amber says, I cannot agree with you and not get offended at the same time, too. That's right. Yeah. In fact, there's a few things Amber and I don't agree on. But I would rather put what I don't agree on to the side so I can have a relationship with her because I love her. Yeah. We don't agree on everything, but I do agree on the fact, this I know, when she shares her experience, strength, and hope, whether it was my experience or not, I agree with it because it's not wrong. That is fact. And I'm not going to argue with that. Yeah. Different strokes for different folks. And da 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 and so I don't know the words. That talks about Ted Lasso. The phrase is often associated with the character Ted Lasso from the show of the same name, who embodies the principle of being curious and understanding rather than judgmental. And I would recommend the show. It's a pretty good show. You can only be the drummer if you are wearing a wig. It says if you are a wig, but I'm presuming you said wearing a wig. I gotta have the hair. Now I get too hot. Okay, I turn it down. These words, which were spoken by Walt Whitman, later popularized Ted Lasso. All right, let's see if we get anything else here. Right, how to be curious, not judgmental. That's a good. Think about how much we don't know about each other. Yeah. Think about how much you don't know about that person and ask questions. What kind of work you do? Where'd you go to school? Where'd you grow up at? There's a lot of questions out there that we can ask instead of assuming that we know who somebody is. Earlier, I was kind of bringing up that you probably, if you just look at me, you probably don't think that I'm a feeling, loving, tree hugging dude. But once I start talking, you get that. But if you were just to look at me, you would not get that. Okay. For those of you that have never seen me on camera, I'm the epitome of a white dude My head is shaved. I look mean, kind of, right? Oh, it was voice to text. That's why. Okay. All right. So if people make that assumption, not really on me. If you looked at me, you probably see a guy that has a lot of white privilege. And I don't have the same white privilege as a lot of other white people, but I do understand. I've understood my white privilege at a very young age. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't like it. I don't. So I use it for the betterment of other people. It does not matter to me what you look like, unless you're covered with tats on your face. It's just a hard one for me to get through. I don't know why. I think it's more of a distraction for me than it is you know. So, all right. Enough about Dion talking about his silly stuff. You know, I just, I know what it's like to be made fun of, to be put down, to be not worth your parents' time. I know what it means to be discarded like an old rag. Yeah. I know what it means to not feel secure in your own home. Right? That's why it's important to me that whenever somebody is over at my house, that they feel comfortable, that they know they can leave anytime they want. Right. And sometimes I have to kick people out of my house because I'm like, okay, you've been here kind of long enough. Once you get to know me, I'm a pretty comfortable person to be around because I can be in the same room with you and you can do what you want to do and I'm doing what I want to do. We don't have to say nothing, but we're hanging out. I'm that kind of person. Leisure says when people are making assumptions, you cannot take things personally. Yeah, especially assumptions made towards you. Yeah, that's a good point, Leisure. All right. And that goes again back to self-esteem and what I really know. You know, well, Dion, you're a wuss. Well, I already know better than that. See, that isn't going to work on me. That's why name calling doesn't work on me anymore. Right? Because I know me well enough. And then since I don't take it personally, then I can turn around and because I'm going to make the assumption that they're aiming it towards me. Right? You ever seen a post on Facebook? Somebody says something and other people, do you mean me? Do you mean me? if you if the shoe fits. All right. Well, Amber wants me to go 3 p.m. I was planning on going. I don't know. I'm kind of tired. Sundays, I'm wore out because Saturdays are so busy. I do a lot on Saturdays. So, all right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. I will see some of you in 7 minutes. I will see the rest of you tomorrow. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out and have a day.